Our top story today from the GatewayPundit.com, Trump's lawyer Mike Davis fires a warning shot at New York Attorney General Letitia James, saying, "Continue your lawfare against Trump, and we will, quote, put your fat ass in prison." We're covering this story and so much more here on the Gateway Pundit's Week in Review. My name is Elijah Schaffer, and this is the Gateway Pundit's Week in Review, where we cover the top 5 stories of the last 24 hours. Our top story today from the GatewayPundit.com, Jim Hoff reports that Trump's lawyer Mike Davis is firing a warning shot back at the lawfare used against Donald Trump. Listen to the entire story. We have the original report. President-elect Donald Trump's attorney, Mike Davis, issued a stark warning to Marxist tyrant New York Attorney General Letitia James during an interview with Benny Johnson. Davis made it clear that if James continues the lawfare tactics against President Trump, there will be consequences, stating, "We will put your fat ass in prison for conspiracy against rights." Letitia James, elected as New York's Attorney General in the 2018 election, quickly targeted Trump, pledging to hold him accountable. For what? Well, from her early days in office, she made no attempt to disguise her disdain for Trump, even appearing in a post-election video cursing and threatening him. Does that seem like someone who's nonpartisan that should be in the judicial system? Check this out. We have the original video for you of the interview with Benny Johnson. Watch.
Tish James, the New York Attorney General, I dare you. I dare you to try to continue your lawfare against President Trump in his second term. Because listen here, sweetheart, we're not messing around this time, and we will put your fat ass in prison for conspiracy against rights. And I promise you that. So think long and hard before you want to violate President Trump's constitutional rights or any other American's constitutional rights. It's not going to happen again.
We've been warning people on the show, Mike. This isn't the same Trump administration. Stop messing around. Don't rig elections. Don't illegally vote. Don't try the funny business, because we know the team this time and they are not effing around.
Let me just say this.
Yeah, let me just say this. I think Benny Johnson and Davis are exactly correct on this. You know, in Trump's first term, it was always characterized and defined by him surrounding himself with the wrong cabinet. He had individuals who were more concerned about infighting than they were about directly working together to do two things: to protect Trump so that the next election could not be rigged against him. And number two, they were unable to form actual allyships that created real political power and stronghold, so that when and if there was a rigging, like we saw in 2020, specifically where the FBI worked in coordination with the mainstream media and the tech companies to withhold key and critical information that would have cost the election for Joe Biden. Not that I believe he even actually won that. Where'd those extra 15 million votes come from? I still don't know. Just kidding. We do know. It was a scamdemic, and they packed those ballots with a lack of signature matches, with obviously fraudulent ballots, or at least that's what we're alleging. We have to be very careful. That way MSNBC and NBC don't get in my inbox again saying, "Did you tell the audience the truth again? They're a Gateway Pundit." Yeah, you better damn well bet that we will continue to tell the truth. Shout out to Jordan Conradson as well, who's been exposing the fraud out in Arizona. You know, the Gateway Pundit's been critical in uncovering a lot of what's been going on with the election irregularities and mismanagement, especially misguidance, as we're watching even elections shift after Election Day once again, not with the presidency, but of course with the House and with the Senate. It's pretty much in a position now where elections are fraudulent in certain counties, and we know that they'll always stuff ballot boxes enough to win elections days later. I don't think we should be accepting this as a nation. I'm pretty confident we've got to change our direction. Now, before we dive in, I want to let you know something important. We've teamed up with Gundry MD to uncover a pantry staple that's more than just a cooking ingredient. It's olive oil, and it's one of the healthiest foods on earth. Now, Dr. Stephen Gundry, a leading cardiothoracic surgeon and nutrition guru, advocates for olive oil not just for your kitchen, but for your beauty and health regimen too. Now, he suggests using high-quality olive oil daily, whether you're taking a shot or even keeping it in your medicine cabinet. But here's the twist. Not all olive oils are equal. With so many brands out there, how do you know which one truly benefits your health? Well, Dr. Gundry has researched this extensively, and his findings have gone viral. He's here to guide you through the maze of olive oil choices. Watch his eye-opening video now at getolive1.com/pundit. That's GETOLIVE, the number 1.com/PUNDIT, or find the link in our description. That's getolive, the number 1.com/pundit. See how the right olive oil could transform your health and beauty routine. Don't miss out on this life-changing transformation, and information at the site below. Now, as we move on to our next story, it's very interesting, heating up. Kari Lake is coming back in close Arizona Senate race with roughly 70% of the votes counted. The race remains too close to call. Once again, I'd like to say, why is it that in key and crucial Senate and House races in swing states, I'm looking at my producer, is it always too close to call and it takes days and weeks to count? Why is it that in every other county where there's voter ID to match and you have to vote in person, do the Republicans always win? But whenever there's a state with no mail-in, or there's mandatory mail-in voting, and there's no voter ID, there's no signature matching, suddenly it's always that the Democrats win after the election. Now, we've seen the entire shift from blue to red in counties across the country, including Texas became more red. California surprisingly became more red. Even parts of Chicago flipped red. We saw, outstanding and record-breaking turnout for Latino voters. You know who really carried the race, though, was Christian whites. Honestly, white women and men carried the election for Donald Trump. Are they going to get the credit? No, because it's not popular to give the credit. It's popular to be anti-white, even on the right wing. We've got to get rid of that type of, topical, endorsement there, where we have too much woke nonsense in our own party. Anyway, our story explains that Trump-endorsed Arizona Senate candidate Kari Lake's race remains too close to call as he makes a comeback, or she makes a comeback, in her increasingly tight contest against Democratic Ruben Gallego, who was disgusting and also said that Trump supporters are terrible people. Now, Lake finished Election Day with a mere than 100,000 vote deficit between herself and Gallego, with 52% of the vote counted as of 12:47 a.m. on Wednesday. Now, it goes on to explain that somehow Ruben Gallego even had more votes than President Trump at the time, leading some to question the integrity of the vote count. The presidential election has not been called for President Trump by left-wing outlets, but he currently leads by more than 5 points, with 70% of the vote counted. It is possible, though, that some of the voters split their ticket and voted for Trump and Gallego. But does anyone believe that tens of thousands of voters picked Trump and a radical left Democrat for Senate? Well, some are saying that it might be due to ignorance, or others are saying that perhaps people are just stupid, or maybe they just don't know what the hell's going on. Perhaps really enough Democrats did vote for Trump, but down the ticket, they ended up voting Democrat. One user, SmartyPants1776, I don't know why we're reading that, said, what is happening in Arizona? They're stealing a Senate seat in Arizona with corrupt Maricopa County. It is literally always Maricopa County. In every controversy in this country, Maricopa County is involved. Now, how is it that an unknown Dem Senate candidate is outperforming the presidential candidates Trump and Harris in Arizona? Gallego with 986,000 votes and Trump with 968,000. Now, it may be possible, too, that other people might have voted, not only for, they might have voted for Harris and Trump, but maybe there's independent candidates. Maybe there's also libertarian candidates, as we're seeing with Sam Brown. Typically, it's not left-wingers that vote libertarian, it's right-wingers. And then they lose the vote because they want to make sure they can smoke their weed, abort their babies, and that transsexuals have the right to defend their weed farms with AR-15s or whatever it is. I have no idea what they're talking about these days. Libertarians, I like the idea of it. I don't like the way it plays out in our electoral cycle. I can definitely tell you that. It works out a lot differently in reality than we would expect. That being said, the Gateway Pundit also reports Christina Lila, just in. Governor Newsom calls special legislative session to fight Trump. Here we go again. California Governor Gavin Newsom on Thursday convened a special legislative session to fight President Trump after he won the election in a landslide against Kamala Harris. The special session will begin December 2nd. Governor Newsom said that Trump, based on his actions taken during his first term in office, is a threat to California's climate change program, illegal immigration population, women's rights, and LGBTQ plus rights. Notice he didn't say anything about the prosperity of the nation, didn't say anything about, the cleaning up of the cities, nothing about the traffic problems, the trade problems, the dock staffing issues, or even the union stalling issues that end up causing so many problems in the efficiency of that state. It's all about what? How do we help gay people have sex with each other? How do we help illegals take more of our tax dollars? It's disgusting. Here's what he said. California is ready to fight. I just called an emergency special session to help bolster our legal resources and protect our state against any unlawful actions by the incoming Trump administration. Whether it be our fundamental civil rights, reproductive freedom, or climate action, we refuse to turn back the clock and allow our values and laws to be attacked. The special session responds to the public statements and proposals put forward by President-elect Trump and his advisors and actions taken during his first term in office. An agenda that could erode essential freedoms and individual rights, including women's rights and LGBTQ rights. A special session allows for expedited action that will best protect California and its values from attacks. The special session will begin December 2nd when the legislature convenes, Newsom's office said. Now, the governor has outlined several urgent priorities. These are to be defended in a special session by bolstering legal defenses against federal actions. The governor's proclamation calls for legislation to provide additional resources to California's Department of Justice and other state entities to pursue robust affirmative litigation against any unlawful actions by the incoming Trump administration. Now, this is as well as to defend against federal lawsuits aimed at undermining California's laws and policies. The funding will support the ability to immediately file litigation and seek injunctive relief against unlawful federal actions, Newsom's office said. Now, you can see that directly there with his post on X, reminding you that many Democrats already vowed to leave the country. Some have even deleted their X accounts in protest. But thou do protest too often, one thinks. And that one is myself. That also said, here's a headline from the New York Times. Newsom moves quickly to counter Trump in California. Governor Gavin Newsom called the legislature back to the Capitol for a special session to bolster civil liberties, reproductive rights, and environmental protections. It goes on to explain that California's far-left radical Attorney General Rob Bonta also said that he's ready to fight for President Trump or fight against him. No matter what the incoming administration has in store, California will keep moving forward with homelessness, legalizing the rape of children, and anal sex. I mean, that's what I'm wondering. Is that what they're saying? I'm adding those words, but that seems to be what California is like. We want to fight for the right for men to be naked in front of children on the streets of Los Angeles and San Francisco. It should be right to have every type of sex act put on display and sponsored by the city. I'm from LA. This is what they do during Pride. We want to make sure every Starbucks sends money to fund wars overseas, but also somehow supports gay rights, so we like them. It's a very bizarre state, and they have a lot of problems. Pray for the great state of California. It remains one of our most beautiful states in the union. I mean, you talk about what's going on in Northern California, and even what's happening in Southern California. It is a great place with incredible weather. It is just so bogged down by bureaucracy and corruption. It makes you wonder, really, I mean, why do we give Ronald Reagan any praise when his amnesty is what turned California blue? It was once known as one of the cleanest and safest states in the union, and now it's literally a hellhole. I mean, South Orange County is great if you're a millionaire and you can afford to live there, but for the rest of Californians who are trying to survive on regular incomes, I mean, have you seen what the house is like? 2-bedroom, 1 bath, starting at like $900,000 in like Watts. It's crazy. So I'm glad to be in Florida and not there concurrently. That being said, I want to remind you guys of something crazy. Listen, have you ever wondered what happened to the legendary Chuck Norris? Well, I recently saw a video that he made and I was absolutely shocked. He's in his 80s and he's still kicking butt and working out and staying active. What's even more shocking is he's stronger, can work out longer, and even has plenty of energy left over for his grandkids. He did this just by making one change, and he says that he still feels like he's in his 50s. His wife even started doing this one thing too, and she's never felt better. She says that she feels 10 years younger, her body looks leaner, and she has energy all day. Now, Chuck made a special video that explains everything. Make sure that you check it out today by going to chuckdefense.com/pundit or by clicking the link below in the description. It'll change the way that you think about your health. Once again, that's chuckdefense.com/pundit and click on the link in the description below to watch the video now. You won't believe how simple it is. chuckdefense.com/pundit. Click it today. We have our last story today, which I think is quite interesting, or two last stories. I also want to highlight this. Senator Josh Hawley wins re-election after Democratic opponents shoots a reporter. Jim Hoff reports interesting that Senator Josh Hawley easily won re-election on Tuesday night in the Show Me State Hawley defeated Democrat opponent Lucas Kuntz 46% or 56% to 42%. I think it might be Kuntz. You got to be careful how you pronounce it. It sounds a little bit like a slur. Hawley ended with 1.6 million votes, and Lucas, whose last name we'll probably have to bleep, ended with 1.2 million. We should start bleeping every Democrat's name because we don't want to be saying those names here. It's like Harry Potter, right? We don't say the name. Missouri, a former battleground state, went for President Trump 58% to 40%. I wish it was higher. Sometimes I know people are very excited about this stuff. I'm disappointed. I wish that things were better, but we congratulate Hawley. I'd like to end on this video. Kash Patel, rumored pick for CIA chief, announces a massive declassification will occur under Trump's administration, from Epstein files to Diddy list and more. Listen to this video we have for you. I'm going to play it here. Pay attention to every word spoken. It's about 2.5 minutes long. Watch.
And then when we go back to DOJ and FBI, we still don't have all the list, all the FISAs, all of the stuff they did to 275,000 Americans illegally in 1 year. Put that out there. I'm not saying put in the recipe on how to do it. We can keep the hood on the engine, but we can show the American people how they violated our rights. And to me, what you said is the most important: restoring trust.
Yes.
In our agencies and departments. That the way to do that is not to get a piñata and just punch them mercilessly and hoping for some bubble gum to pop out. The way to do that is to literally give the American people the truth. And that's what they feared about Donald Trump. He's going to come in there and maybe give him the Epstein list and maybe give him the P. Diddy list. You know, he's going to come up there and maybe do all these things, and they are terrified.
Yeah, I believe that's part of the reason why Jimmy Kimmel was crying last night on his program. But also, I believe that this is something that the American public desperately want. And most importantly, this is how you restore honor and how you restore trust. Now, many may not know, some will, that you are personally responsible for the research on the Russiagate collusion. Everything we know about Russiagate, and we know maybe like less than half of what really happened with Russiagate, Kash Patel is the one who found it out with Devin Nunes. So, Kash, you have an excellent pedigree in rooting out the truth. Will we get the full Diddy list? Will we get Epstein? Will we get JFK? Will we get the rest of what happened with Russia collusion?
That's what I want. That's what I want as me as an American citizen. That's what I want in terms of achieving that restoration of respect for government in D.C. that's been gone for like 50, 60 years, right? I had said on the campaign trail when I was on the Team Trump bus tour or surrogate somewhere, I said, America has a chance to retire the dynastic families that have rained down corruption in Washington, D.C. on November 5th. You could have retired the Bushes, the Cheneys, the Clintons, and the Obamas. And you know what, Benny? For the first time, I get to say they did. And part of that mandate that they deliver to Donald Trump is simply they want the truth.
Yes.
And I don't know why it has been, well, I do know why, but I believe and hope President Trump is going to go in there and just be a vehicle, a conveyor belt for the truth, and just put it out nonstop. Yes. Agriculture department, education, labor, all of it, everywhere. And Congress is going to play such a critical role in these oversight investigations. Just think of what you can accomplish if you have a director or a secretary who actually works with a Republican chairman or chairwoman on oversight. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is incredible. And it's not only remarkable, but look, I think we're a little bit in a pipe dream right now. And I don't want to be too quick to jump the gun, but you know, it's like, obviously, if we could appoint Barron Trump to being, you know, the chief of staff, that would be my dream. But then we get Susie Wiles, who, of course, has some very questionable connections in the background to try to like break up sort of nationalistic far right, you know, movements. And she, you know, has some interesting connections, even with our own governor here in Florida. I think she's quoted after they split and she helped him win his election. When he lost in the primary, she texted him bye-bye, a little catty, right? We have some very interesting schisming going on. So we'll let people prove themselves. The only thing I like about Susie Wiles is she looks like she makes a mean casserole, but she's also the kind of woman who makes you rinse your own dish, put it in the dishwasher, even though she knows she's going to reorganize it later because you don't know how to do it. And I don't say that's a bad thing. I just mean she looks like she's a great host, but is she going to be a great chief of staff? I mean, look, I hope so. I hope we clean the plates. I hope we get them washed. I hope we organize them well. And I hope that, you know, we have the right people and we're not going by looks and by race and by things, that we're going by qualifications, right? Meritocracy. But I don't know. Are we going to see an administration marred like the first one, with literally the worst scum of the earth populating it? We're going to drain the swamp with the swamp creatures. Let's hope we see something change. I'm hopeful. We'd love to know your thoughts down below. Anyway, have a great rest of the week as always. May God bless the United States of America. I'm signing out.